Hi, I'm Dr. John Lund, author of How to Hug a Porcupine. We've been talking about criticism and about the art of giving and receiving criticism in a marriage relationship. And I just related some examples about how I wanted to be approached and how my wife wanted to be approached. Let me suggest that there are other ways, certainly, for people to be approached. What's important is that the husband-wife relationship that you agree and that you figure out. Now, how you want to be approached. And this is something that I would do in a counseling session. I would require that each person give me a way to approach them. And really what I wanted, of course, was them to be able to give each other a way to be approached with criticism. And some people said things like this: well, I want to know, if you give me a problem, that there's at least one solution for it. And maybe with every problem, give me at least one solution. And other people have said things like, well, I'd like to know at least one positive thing that you like about me for every negative thing you're going to share. There's a number of ways that we can put together an approach, but it's our responsibility to give to our mate a way to approach us, rather than just to be in the position saying, well, of course, I can't imagine you'd ever want to approach me with any criticism because there's nothing about my personality that I think you should ever find fault with. None of us want to hear that. None of us want to hear criticism, but the inability to process it is going to be at the heart and core now of whether our relationship is going to be a warm, nurturing, loving relationship that contributes to each of us becoming our highest and best selves in that relationship. So that's what we're talking about here, and we've been talking about approaches, ways to approach. Now, I want to shift back for a moment and talk about how people who have what I call a toxic personality. A toxic personality is a person that adopts toxic behaviors like criticism, unrestrained, and feels at liberty. And oftentimes, this is the tragedy, they are well-meaning. They think they're helping. But what they're really doing, of course, is not helping at all. They're really destroying the other person and destroying their sense of worth and destroying their sense of ego, if you will. And the challenge that is, well, I'm just trying to help them. Well, that's maybe well-intended. But you see, if I bump you off of a two-story building, or if I shove you off a two-story building, the consequences are the same to you. And so your intent means nothing. It means nothing in terms of the consequences. And criticism is shoving somebody off a two-story building, the consequences of that. So we need to handle that as we would a very, very toxic substance. We've got to be careful with it. But toxic personalities are not. They feel at liberty, they have a mouth and they have a thought, and they don't care who's there or who hears them. They're going to share it because they're right, or they feel empowered somehow, or their position, whatever it may be that gives them permission to do this. A toxic personality is one who's adopted that stance, who is going to be critical, who is going to be fault-finding, and, by the way, a person that you will never please. And we're going to talk about how to deal with people that are impossible to please, because sometimes we marry those people or we give birth to them.
You're such a natural. It just is blowing me away.